And on the day of the IBM press conference that Microsoft showed Xenix 386, for example. I thought it was I thought it was also significant that they flashed AIX in back of Bill Lowe, and I wonder what all these things mean. You know, they're telling us about OS2. I'm not quite sure it's going to be there.
Well, I think the real important thing is that it brings multitasking, multi-user systems to the forefront in terms of the mentality. People are thinking about that now. It's not single-threaded systems that we've seen for years and years. And I think that's really the most important part of that.
Sure.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to have two of the top journalists in the industry here in just a minute and find out what they think about the Personal System 2 computer, so stay with us. With us in the studio now is John Dvorak, contributing editor with PC Magazine, and next to John David Bennell, editor-in-chief of PC World Magazine.
John, you and David have been commenting on the IBM PC World for well, as long as I can remember. What are your impressions about the introduction of the system, Personal System 2? It's the new, what do they call it, the new platform, I guess?
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, right.
I like the size of the thing, that's one thing for sure, and the engineering inside is unbelievable. It's just fantastic, but the performance of the machine, except for the hard disk, it has a special cache that allows it to run a lot faster, or effectively faster, even though it's a slow hard disk. The performance of the machine is really a couple of years old. It's nothing particularly outstanding. In fact, this screen that we've got here is which shows a benchmark running, and it shows the machine running effectively at 9.8 megahertz, obviously not using wait state. It's got one wait state memory, which is kind of old-fashioned. The screen is blurry. There's a lot of little idiosyncratic things. It's a closed architecture, even though the other guest says it's open. It's open in a certain way, but IBM threatens to sue anyone for patent violation if they use it. And I'm, a little disappointed, actually.
Okay, so you sound pretty negative about it. How about you, David?
Well, I think at least the mystery about what IBM is going to do has been removed, and I think these machines are going to do very well in Fortune 1000 companies where people have mainframes, but I don't think they're machines that people will lust after. And I think that if you look at the history of the personal computer and the machines that have truly been successful, including the original PC, that people really lusted after those machines. They had to have them. It was a big deal to have one of these machines on your desk. The PC, the Mac, the Apple II earlier, and I think the Mac II probably fits in that category, but I don't see anything here that I would lust after.
Okay, John, just following up on one question about patent items in the machine itself. Does that mean that we're not going to see clones in the new Personal System 2?
Well, when I talk to all the manufacturers of the clones, they all tell me two things that are interesting. One is that they're spending most of their time, we've invited a new person into the CEO realm of the clone maker, which is the lawyer. They're spending all their time, the lawyers are poring over these things, trying to figure out where if it's a patent violation here and there, and whether they can even make cards. We're not even sure you can make cards. Nobody knows, so they're going to figure in the next 6 to 9 months trying to figure that out.
Do we need clones?
Yeah, that's the other. Well,
isn't it, John?
Actually, yeah, it is a question. But I think when we start talking about machines 2 or 3 years from now, when we want to go to real fast CPU speeds on 386s, it might be nice to use this bus because it's a real nice bus. But the software runs on both the clones and this machine, and IBM is going to bring us some proprietary software that probably won't be too exciting if they go by past performance. So I don't see why there's even really that much concern. I'm not too worried about the clones cloning this machine.
David's comment about, do you need clones? Why do you say that? Do you think we can get along without clones?
Well, there are already machines on the market that perform as well as these machines, and the OS2 operating system, when it comes out, is really transportable to other bus architectures, so it's not clear that the market really needs to clone the IBM bus. Perhaps other people will come up with different solutions.
John, one of the things I think you do like about this machine is how quickly you can take it apart, and it's kind of modular design. Can I ask you to sort of shut it down and...
Yeah, we're going to see what...
do that for me there.
It does turn off. I don't particularly like this switch in the front, by the way, although some people think it's a good idea. It turns out that it will just allow people to accidentally turn it off easier. Take this little 3.5-inch disc out. Most of the components of this machine, if you know what you're doing here, slide out, and things pop out. This is kind of interesting. they've got this...
You sure it pops out?
Yeah, they all pop out. It's just... What's interesting about this particular... Gotta get this little button here, you know. Oh, there it is. This is the tool that I didn't use to pop these things out. There's a little tool here, and you can pop out all these little rivets. There's a rivet here. Let me get this thing out of here. Well, anyway,
so this really is a kind of a rector set
normally
approach.
A piece
I can see how easy this is to get out.
No, this is real simple to pop out here. We just pop this sucker out here. Well, let's see. Well, normally this thing just pops right out. It's very easy to do. I seem to be missing a couple of these little bolts down here that normally... people don't think that these little bolts are going to last very long, but that's the only problem.
Those little plastic things that keep it all together.
Yeah.
I think you're getting closer.
Yeah, I am. I'm missing... Up there it is. Okay.
David, while he's messing around... Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. Okay.
And then this hard disk like slides right out, and you can pop a new one in.
You got more bolts to pump in there, I think is the problem there.
Yeah, those are all
This is really fun. For people that like to take their computers apart and put it back together, I think there's a
big tinker toy set.
market for that.
Well, I mean, that's a serious question. I mean, what's the point, John? I mean, you like this, but I mean, is it important that you can pop all these things?
Well, no, what it really means is that a service guy can come into a big company. They figure they're going to spend 25% less in service contracts. I mean, it'll cost 25% of what a service contract currently costs, because you can come in, pop the hard disk out, pop the speaker out, pop this board out, you can pop anything out, pop it back in almost instantaneously, and the machine will be up and running again.
It real fast.
Big companies need that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these machines are really nicely targeted to large corporations. The question is, will they make an impact in small business and education and medium-sized companies? And that's not too clear yet.
David, what is your overall impression of the pricing, how it compares with the rest of the machines that are out there now?
Well, people are saying that they're amazed that the IBM pricing seems to be pretty high, but traditionally in the computer business, you start out with a high price and you can come down under it, and we know that the manufacturing costs of this machine are about 40% less than the traditional line of PCs, so IBM could lower the price significantly at a point where they need to do that.
Gentlemen, we have about a minute left. Briefly, what's the good and the bad here of the personal system 2 computers? John?
Well, I think the good is that it sets a new standard for engineering. There's no cables in this thing, which is kind of interesting, and there's nothing worse than these old machines. They got cables all over the place. You pull the cover off, jerks a bunch of cables out. It's a real mess. This is just a very nice. It could be built by robots, and it's very state-of-the-art kind of architecture inside in terms of the engineering and design. I like that, and it's small and lightweight.
Okay, David?
Yeah, I think what's significant is the new operating OS2 system and breaking through the 640K barrier, which isn't out yet, but once it's out, it will allow us to have new categories of software, and we'll finally have multitasking and be able to do some interesting things.
You're satisfied that's for real?
I'm satisfied it's for real, but I'm not sure when it will come out. That's a big question.
Gentlemen, you can continue to play there, John, if you like.
Thank you very much. And take it home.
We'll be back in just a minute with Jan Lewis and George Morrow, so stay with us. United Airlines runs one of the world's largest computer systems, the Apollo reservation systems, with 8,000 users, some 38,000 terminals. The good news for IBM is that United was the first corporate buyer of the Personal System 2 computers, with an order for 40,000 Model 50s. The Model 50s will replace existing terminals on United's massive computer network. The Apollo reservation system runs off 8 IBM mainframes using 460,000 miles of communication circuits. The system can handle 1,500 transactions a second. Despite the fact that many of the existing terminals on the system are PCs or ATs, they are essentially dumb terminals with all applications coming from the centralized system. One reason United decided to go with PS2 computers was its desire to get into a more distributed architecture.
As we move forward in a distributed architecture, we're looking to provide our users with the ability to develop and support their own level of applications over time and not depend on us as a single source for all of their future enhancements.
United chose the Model 50 computers after concluding that they offered the best price-performance combination in the new PS2 line. The Model 50s will become an integral part of United's new focal point reservation system, which brings new enhancements to the Apollo network. Among the improvements are a menu-driven system which